On Christmas night, December 25, 1996, 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey was celebrating the holidays with her family in Boulder, Colorado. JonBenét was a child beauty queen, well known in pageant circles for her bright smile and elaborate costumes. To the outside world, the Ramseys seemed like a picture-perfect family. The next morning, December 26, everything changed. At 5:52 a.m., Patsy Ramsey, JonBenét's mother, called 911 in a panic. She had found a 2.5-page ransom note on the staircase demanding $118,000 for JonBenét's safe return. The amount was oddly specific, nearly identical to a bonus John Ramsey, JonBenét's father, had recently received. Police arrived at the Ramsey home within minutes. At first, they treated the case as a kidnapping. The ransom note instructed the family not to contact authorities, but the Ramseys had already called police and friends to the house, contaminating the crime scene hours past with no sign of JonBenét. Then, at around 1 p.m., John Ramsey made a horrifying discovery. Searching the basement, he found his daughter's lifeless body in a small storage room. JonBenét had been struck on the head and strangled with a garrote made from a paintbrush handle. Her wrists were tied, and duct tape was found near her. The ransom note, the body in the house, and the strange circumstances immediately raised suspicion. How could the kidnapper have left a note upstairs, killed JonBenét in the basement, and escaped without anyone noticing? And why was the ransom amount so specific? From that moment forward, the case shifted from a kidnapping to a murder investigation, one that would haunt the nation for decades. The investigation into JonBenét's death was chaotic from the very beginning. The Boulder Police Department faced criticism for mishandling the crime scene. Friends and neighbors had been allowed into the house, potentially disturbing crucial evidence. The ransom note itself became one of the most puzzling pieces of evidence. It was unusually long, filled with strange phrases, and written on paper from inside the Ramsey home. Forensic handwriting analysis was inconclusive, though many experts said it did not match John or Patsy Ramsey's handwriting. Attention quickly turned to the Ramseys themselves. Investigators found it suspicious that JonBenét was discovered inside the family's own home. The ransom amount $118,000 was almost identical to John Ramsey's recent Christmas bonus, making the note feel eerily personal. At the same time, evidence raised questions about an intruder. A basement window was found broken, and there were reports of unidentified footprints in the snow outside. But police noted inconsistencies. The snow around the house was undisturbed, suggesting no one had entered that way on the night of the murder. Forensic testing revealed even more mysteries. A small amount of unidentified male DNA was discovered on JonBenét's underwear, but it did not match any family member. This fueled the intruder theory. However, critics argued the DNA could have come from contamination at the clothing factory or later handling. As months passed, public suspicion grew. Some believed the Ramseys were involved in a cover-up, possibly to protect their son, Burke, who was only 9 years old at the time. The theory suggested that Burke might have accidentally harmed JonBenét, and the parents staged the ransom note and basement scene to protect him. The Ramseys denied this fiercely, and no evidence ever confirmed it. Others focused on the possibility of an outside predator. JonBenét was a child beauty queen, often featured in public pageants. Some theorized she had attracted the attention of a dangerous individual who managed to slip into the house unnoticed. Still, no arrests were made. The case grew colder as years went by, with endless debates over whether it was an inside job or the work of an intruder. Theories multiplied from jealous competitors in the pageant world to disturbed neighbors, to shadowy figures obsessed with JonBenét's image. Yet every lead seemed to end in dead ends and frustration. By the early 2000s, the case had become a national obsession, a mystery picked apart by television specials, documentaries, and tabloids. But despite intense scrutiny, no one was ever charged with JonBenét's murder. The murder of JonBenét Ramsey quickly became one of the most infamous unsolved crimes in American history. The case captured the media's attention not just because of its brutality, but because of who JonBenét was, a young child with a glamorous pageant life, whose smiling photographs stood in haunting contrast to the tragedy of her death. For years, the Ramsey family lived under a cloud of suspicion. Tabloid headlines painted John and Patsy as villains, and talk shows debated their guilt. Patsy, in particular, was targeted after handwriting experts scrutinized the ransom note. The family maintained their innocence, and in 2008, they were officially cleared by prosecutors after DNA evidence pointed away from them. Still, the lack of closure fueled endless speculation. Documentaries, books, and TV specials reignited the debate again and again. Every anniversary brought new theories, from experts and armchair detectives alike. The internet age gave the case new life, with online communities dissecting every detail of the ransom note, crime scene, and police reports. Over time, the focus shifted to the DNA evidence. The unidentified male DNA found on JonBenét's clothing remains the strongest clue to an intruder, but it has never been matched to a suspect. Some experts argue that the DNA may not even be relevant to the crime. Meanwhile, alternative theories persist. Was JonBenét the victim of an intruder who slid in during the night? Was it a tragic accident covered up by a desperate family? Or was it something else entirely? The tragedy also left a lasting impact on the Ramsey family. Patsy Ramsey died of ovarian cancer in 2006, never knowing who killed her daughter. John Ramsey has spent years fighting to clear his family's name and continues to advocate for further investigation. Burke Ramsey, now an adult, has spoken publicly only rarely, but his life has been forever shaped by the case. Decades later, the murder of JonBenét Ramsey remains unsolved. It stands as a haunting reminder of the flaws in criminal investigations and the devastating consequences of media pressure, and yet, the story endures. The face of JonBenét, frozen in pageant photos, still appears in headlines and documentaries, her case still debated in forums and newsrooms. More than 25 years later, the mystery continues to capture the public's imagination. Unanswered questions remain. Who wrote the ransom note? Who left the DNA? Why was JonBenét killed in her own home on Christmas night? Until those questions are answered, the case of JonBenét Ramsey will remain one of the darkest and most enduring mysteries in American true crime history.